Greetings.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode, the first episode of 2025. Happy New Year. Of course, we were out for the new year. We talked to y'all before the new year has started. And just wanted to say a happy belated, today's January 2nd on a Thursday night. Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully everybody had a safe and blessed new year with their friends, family, loved ones, whoever you were hanging out with. Before we get started, though, I just do want to say, thoughts and prayers to the loved ones that were lost in that tragedy in New Orleans, Louisiana. Man, that was tough to see. And it was on every local news outlet that you could think of, nationally, too, as well. President Biden even had spoke about the incident. And man, that is very tragic to start off the new year just like that with some of the loved ones that have lost. So we just want to send our condolences to all the families out there that are going through this tough time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not a pretty sight, but hopefully, as a country can grow from that to stop anything else like that from happening.
Yes, but today, Thursday night, terrific Thursday, thriving Thursday, whatever you want to go with the TTs right there. Our episode is going to be 231. The Astros run isn't over. There were some quotes out there from a player that played with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, this guy's a good player that you could put on Immaculate Grid, I would say, too. He played for the Dodgers, the Giants, the Braves, the Diamondbacks, and now the Texas Rangers. We'll talk about that, his remark on the Astros, and talking about the AL West. We'll even question if Houston's run is over. After hearing that, Astros do sign a reliever. That's what they were in the market for, but it is on a minor league contract. We'll talk a little bit more on that. Is the market kind of slowing down? Because honestly, Angel, it looks like it's not going how it was in the beginning of, like, kind of close where the baseball winter meetings is. It's kind of dialed down a little. There hasn't been a lot of big moves other than Corbin Burns getting signed as one of the big star free agents. And of course, around the horn, but Astro Craig getting on. I get it now. You're on Mountain Time. Is Mountain Time
an hour?
Is it 4:38? Right? Is it an hour ahead or behind?
Yeah, an hour behind.
So 4:38 over there in the beautiful Rocky Mountains.
But I think he's saying because we're 5 minutes late. I think that's why.
Well,
that's for the comment confirm.
We're still here. We're still here,
Yeah,
baby. But before we get started, Angel, what you got to tell everybody? We had a lot of new subscribers. Last episode was one of our best episodes. We want to shout you all out for hanging in there with us. If you're here with us for the first time, welcome. We're always going to talk about the best coverage of Astros baseball news, player interviews, all that type of stuff coming up into the new season. But Angel, have anything before we get started?
Yeah, we have. It's a new year, new followers, so new subscribers. So we don't know where to follow us. It's up there in front of my head. On X, TikTok, and YouTube, we're at Full Steam Ahead. On Instagram, we're FSA Full Steam Ahead. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. But yeah, we appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown recently. This off season, I think, has been one of the best ones yet, and we just hope to grow and hopefully you can spread the word and just offer as we continue to offer the best Astros content that we possibly can.
Indeed. We got a lot of new things coming out for this year. 3 subscribers away from 200. That's a big thing for us. So we appreciate if you go off of Twitter, go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Like we said, we didn't forget. We're still going to do that giveaway either coming in the earlier part of this month or I know for sure before the month ends, for damn sure. But we do promise y'all we will give a giveaway out. But yeah, before we get started, let everybody know too in the chat where y'all tuning in from, where y'all listening from. I know in Houston today it's been cloudy. It's kind of been not one of the best weathers, but
overcast, yeah,
overcasted, cloudy, all that type of stuff. But I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be sunny. We're supposed to get a cold front pretty soon too, if I'm not mistaken. Might be snow, Angel.
I don't think so. Not this year.
Hey, you never know. You never know what can happen. Hey, wouldn't that be cool to start off the new year seeing snow in Houston? I mean, it's happened before with the freeze about what, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah. Why? I used to live in Dallas, and it hadn't snowed in a while there. And the only 2 years we were over there, it snowed twice. It was pretty nice. Pretty nice sight.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there is snow. If there's snow, that's awesome. If it's not, it's just going to be cold as shit. Just simple as that. But let's start off with that Joc Pederson quote. Obviously, Joc Pederson is nothing new to the Astros. Played against them with the Los Angeles Dodgers in that World Series. 2021, he got acquired by the Braves in a trade and then helped the Braves win the World Series that season in 2021. And now he has signed with the Texas Rangers with a 2-year, $37 million contract. He has an opt out after 2025. And he had some things to say about the Astros, man. Talking about that this could potentially be it for them. They're already kind of slowing down. It's kind of time for a new team to rise up. And he thinks the Texas Rangers is it. So we're going to play that video for y'all real quick.
Astros a couple times in the World Series, and they put together a nice little run, and it's coming to an end, and it's time for us to take over the West. And so, like I said, there's lots of things that are going in the right direction for the Rangers to be on top of this division. And I don't know, you talk to a lot of teams, they want to win the World Series and do this stuff like at the start. And I told CY, I mean, all we got to do is get to the playoffs. You let Bochy do what Bochy does in the playoffs, usually comes well. And then, I mean, you add in a sprinkle of Seager in there, and next thing you know, we're all walking around with more rings. So it's gonna happen. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're not lacking in the details that prepare us every day. That is gonna make it consistently a reoccurring theme.
Interesting things from him to say, Angel, as this is his first season with the Rangers. Already putting himself in the Rangers Hall of Fame. A lot of fans just love him just saying that quote right there. Um, but I will give him credit. The Rangers are still going to be a threat in the AL West. They're going to get some guys that are healthy back, like Evan Carter. Evan Carter was one of their big reasons why they got to the World Series in 2023. Of course, their pitching still going to be good. It's not the best. Of course, you're losing Max Scherzer, but you're replacing Max Scherzer with Jacob deGrom at the top of that rotation. That's pretty solid. You brought back Nathan Eovaldi. They still got some great players over there, but I will not agree with him saying that the Astros run is over. This is going to be the end of it because, of course, you're seeing the players like Alex Bregman possibly going to be going somewhere else. Kyle Tucker being traded. The Astros don't have a lot of star power. If you really think about it, it's just Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez propelling this team. But I will not agree with Mr. Pederson on saying that the Astros little run is fixing to come to an end and the Rangers are going to take over the West.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense why he says that. I think on paper, the Rangers, have a better lineup than the Astros, but I think what makes the Astros special is the tendency and the will to win. And as you can see last year, actually the past 2 years, the Rangers have had a better team. I would say the past 2 years than the Astros, and yet the Astros won the division. They were tied for 1 year, and then after that, they won it with 2-3 games in front, right? So on paper, the Rangers have had a better team the past 2 years, but yes, they lost Alex Bregman, but the Astros have made key additions to kind of replace that. I think the Astros are still on track to win the division. It's going to be hard. I know you said that you didn't think they would, but I think they win it by 1, 2, 3 games. I think they're still on track for that. However, I just think their ability to win it is what sets them apart. The experience and just the Astros have shown that this run is never ending. Obviously, it's going to come to an end, but the Astros decide that if depending how they play, if they're going to be settlers in the offseason, that's what all happens. But at the end of the day, I'm sticking to my thing and saying that the Astros are going to win the division.
Yeah, I think the Astros will, and I've been firm with this either 85 or 90 wins in this next upcoming new season. I'm kind of going really over the 85, just under the 90 win plateau. But they're still going to be competing in the West. Just real quick to show the projected lineup for the Rangers, it's going to look like Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford, Joc Pederson, Adolis Garcia, Josh Jung, Evan Carter, Jake Berger, and Jonah Heim. I think if this Rangers team is healthy, like he was saying, they have a great shot of winning this AL West. That's if this lineup is healthy. Throughout the season last year, I mean, they lost Josh Jung, Evan Carter. There were some games they lost with Adolis Garcia. Marcus Semien was, no, I don't take that back. Corey Seager was the one that was hurt. Marcus Semien maybe missed, I think, 1 or 2 games after that collision in the outfield and right. I think the good pick for them was Jake Berger. That's a sleeper guy, I would say, 27 home runs, 70-something RBIs. That's a good guy that you could put in the corner infield, played third base, played first base. You can even DH him if you want. The rotation, real quick, Nathan Eovaldi, Jacob deGrom, John Gray, Tyler Mahle, Cody Bradford, and then you can put, if you want to do a 6-man rotation, Jack Leiter, and you can add Kumar Rocker into their rotation. But for him to say that was expected because this is a guy that's a winner. He loves winning. He won that 21 World Series. Of course, 17 probably is still one of the most nastiest tastes in his mouth, losing to the Astros. And of course, the whole cheating scandal going on. So he's coming to a team that's very young, that's very talented, seeking to win that division, trying to get back to the playoffs, because after a great 23 for them, it was more really reasonable 24 that was very disappointing for them not to reach the playoffs, because that was a team that was projected to win the AL West or just be second in the AL West. And all of that happened because they weren't healthy. When you put a healthy Rangers team and a healthy Astros team, I believe, in my opinion, them are both 1 and 2. You could go back and forth, and the division, you make complete sense saying that either one of these games coming down to September in the 20s or in the 15th, it's going to come down literally to the last day before the postseason starts. You're on mute.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's going to be a tight one, but it's just at the end of the day, this is what makes baseball special. It's not like there's a dominant team out there that can, just take over everything, especially the AL West. I still think the A's are going to be competitors. Seattle, the Mariners are going to be competitors. It's going to be a competitive season.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenging season. Real quick, Joc Pederson's stats against the Astros in 12 games: 179 batting average, 5 hits, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 5 runs. So he has a chance to kind of raise that batting average up, hit a couple of dingers, RBIs, all that kind of stuff. I think that would have been a great addition for the Astros. That's a left-handed bat that Dana Brown would have loved to put in that lineup, power in that middle part of the lineup especially. But
you think he would want to play in Houston?
I don't know. That's kind of another question I've been trying to wrap around my head. Like, I don't know if he would want to be in Houston
I don't think so.
just for that 17, because a lot of players still, quote unquote, Clayton Kershaw's like the main one that's still pissed and salty about 17. He had that quote whenever the Dodgers came to Houston.
Because Clayton Kershaw got rocked. That's why. Yeah.
Gurriel has tied it. Yep, that's really real quick right there. But let's talk about it. The Astros run isn't over. I mean, come on. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. But it's always been like that every season for the Astros. And I mean by everyone, has the Astros never winning the division every season when it comes to fan polls, MLB analysts, writers, journalists, all this other stuff from Fox, MLB, like I'm dead. I mean, it's just nobody wants the Astros to win the season or the division. So let's dig up some numbers real quick, because the Astros have dominated the American League West since 2017. I really wanted to put 2015 on there just for the fact that they honestly could have made it further than the Rangers did. Jose Bautista hitting that famous walk-off over there in the Rogers Center in Toronto, and the Astros missing. Honestly, they could have gone to the ALCS if Correa didn't miss that top grounder. I don't know how you want to call it, at shortstop against the Kansas City Royals. But the Astros have won the American League West 7 of the last 8 seasons. So I don't think the run's over after saying that. They have the same amount of division titles just as the Rangers do. The Rangers moved to the AL West since 1972. The Astros, they just came to the American League West, if I'm not mistaken, 2013 or 2012, they moved from the National League to the American League, being in the West. But the Astros gone to the Fall Classic 4 out of their last 8 seasons. They won 2 World Series rings. The Rangers barely won their first ring in 2023. I think that's a lot of kind of saltiness that Astro fans are going through, thinking of that 2023 ALCS that the Astros just needed to win 2 games at home to propel them to another World Series at possibly their third World Series title. And that would have been their back-to-back World Series championships for the first time since the New York Yankees in 2000s.
Yeah.
So, but the Astros always, and when I mean by always, I'm throwing some emphasis, some capitalization, always find a way to win the division and make the postseason. And pure examples are these past 2 seasons, 2023 and 2024. In my opinion, the Astros shouldn't have won the division. They just shouldn't have. Maybe make the postseason, but not win the division. 23, Rangers and Mariners couldn't finish strong that second half. Astros are really a good second half team, really in that summer part, the long days of summer going into September. They do a fantastic job in the second half. Obviously, the Mariners and the Rangers didn't. Astros won the division. Rangers didn't, because when they faced each other, the Astros had the upper hand against them. Rangers won the World Series. Moving on to 2024. Mariners couldn't hold a 11-game lead throughout the whole season. They had a 10-plus game lead in the division, and somehow, some way, they just couldn't get into the postseason or even win the division. So that's why I say the Astros, honestly, DFAing Jose Abreu, you had to put John Singleton. John Singleton was a good little mix to put at first base for that part. Them 2 seasons, in my opinion, they shouldn't have won the division. Give me your thoughts. What do you think about that?
No, yeah, I agree with you. Like how I was saying earlier, that I don't agree with Joc Pederson just because the Astros always find ways to win, and that's what you're hinting on. And the fact that the Rangers, again, 23 couldn't hold. Yeah, they won the division, right? But the fact that they finished strong and then they kind of disappeared in 2024, I think that's a lot to say for a team that hasn't won the division, right? So I agree with you there, and especially if the Astros find a way to sign an outfielder, a good outfielder, I think the table kind of evens up there, and it's anybody's division right now. Everybody's saying that it's the Rangers division or even the Mariners, just because, again, on paper they have a better lineup. But I think if they can add one more player, I think the rotation is good. The bullpen is good. It's just missing that one key piece deep in their lineup, and if that happens, I think it's a head-to-head battle. I think they're both tied for in all categories. You know what I mean?
Let's move on to that real quick. And you hit the nail on the coffin. These teams in this American League West this year, it's going to be tough. The Angels had made some moves. The Mariners haven't made some moves, shockingly. Honestly, they should be making moves at this moment, but they haven't. I still, at the end of the day, I think they're still going to compete. They're still going to hang in there in the division. The Oakland Athletics making some moves. Don't sleep on them. They have a great young team. That was a second half team that finished strong in 2024. So this will be another season that's going to be challenging for the Houston Astros. Let's start off with that rotation, like you were saying. They still got a good rotation. Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown, Ronel Blanco, Spencer Arrighetti, and then Hayden Wesneski, who just got acquired by the Cubs. Well, from the Astros, from the Cubs. Some starting pitchers. There are some key pieces in that rotation that we don't know what's their timetable at the moment. But Christian Javier, Luis Garcia, J.P. France, Les McCullers Jr., they will all be coming back from injury. Like I had mentioned, the ones I know for sure that we don't have a timetable that could be possibly ready for spring training is going to be Luis Garcia, France, and LMJ. The only one I'm confident that won't be returning to the opening day roster will be Christian Javier. I think his timetable might be looking around June or July, before or after the All-Star break. So you still got a good set rotation. I'm very excited to see what Wesneski presents in that little rotation in the 5 spot in the back end. But you hit the nail on the coffin. The Astros have to find a way to look for another outfielder. That is the biggest thing that they are missing right now. We can talk about the outfield: Jake Myers, Chas McCormick, Mauricio Dubon, and Taylor Trammell. My opinion, respectfully, because all these guys are great guys, good players. That won't be getting it done if the Astros want to go back to the postseason. Just staying with those four players in the outfield. And Mauricio Dubon's not even an outfielder. Well, he is, but utility man, I would say. So if the Astros could find a way to get an outfielder, then more than likely you're putting yourselves either above the Rangers or just right there at that mark where they compete. It just depends on who they go sign. We'll talk about, because the market looks like it's slowing down. So we'll talk about some free agents here in a minute.
Let's go back to starting pitching real quick.
Go ahead.
I think Luis Garcia is going to be the difference maker if the Astros win a division. I think he kind of reminds me of Ronald Blanco a little bit, where he stepped up when all hope was lost in that starting rotation. Framber wasn't on it. The injuries were still lacking on. I think if Luis Garcia can come back healthy, and I say him because he was the closest to come back last year. He was already doing a minor league rehab, and there was still elbow soreness. So I think this offseason benefited him greatly. I think if he can pitch to the Garcia the Astros fans saw a couple years back, I think the Astros rotation would be pretty good. Right now, it's good. Is it like World Series caliber? I'm not sure yet. That just depends how Christian Javier comes back, JP France comes back, McCullers comes back. But I think if you add a healthy Luis Garcia that reminisces from the few years, I think that's the difference maker winning the division itself. A healthy Christian Javier, a Christian Nas McCullers helps them get to the World Series, but winning the division, I think Luis Garcia is going to be the guy that's going to help them get there. And you're right. I agree with you with the outfield too. Respectfully, that's not a good outfield. Like, besides Jordan Alvarez, when he plays there, you have one good outfielder there. They just have to make a move to even the odds for the division.
Yeah, if we wanted to put a grade on this starting pitching right now, not talking with the guys that are out, the pitchers that are on this rotation that's projected to start for opening day all the way on to the early part of the season, what kind of grade would you give it?
It's Framber, Brown, Ronell, Arrighetti, and Wazensky is what you had, right?
Correct.
I would give it a B, and that's just because of Framber and Hunter Brown. I think they carried the load. The reason I'm hesitant with Ronald Blanco is because it was Ronald Blanco's. I was like, I'm afraid it could be an outlier season where he does good this season and the team starts to figure him out and he doesn't live up to what he did, right? He can't replicate that. Arrighetti showed glimpses that he can pitch in the major leagues, but then showed glimpses where he felt like he was completely lost up there. Again, it's just on a confidence thing for him. Wazensky, again, had a pretty good rookie season, then kind of lost in back-to-back years. If he actually can kind of fix something, so there's a lot of uncertainty with this rotation. I think I'm being a little generous giving them a B, but I think that's just because of who the top two starters for the Astros are.
No, I'm with you right there. I'm sticking at a B. Like you said, them first two guys, them workhorses right there, Valdez and Brown, they're good. Blanco is going to be a good season for him to see where he's going to be at. Just like you were saying, last season was his first full season in an Astros uniform, and players and pitchers and coaches have figured him out. In that second half, he wasn't doing his best, but they kind of started to fix out, trying to figure the things what he does and what pitches that he does and locates in them and all that type of stuff. Wesneski is going to be a good one to look out. That's why I'm excited. And the potential, I say, is still there for Arrighetti. This is a guy that has 10 plus strikeout per 9 innings is 10 point something or 11 point something. The kid has potential to be a dog in that rotation.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, again, the potential is there. It's just, is it enough? Is what it is.
Correct. Astro of Craig, though, wanted to say convert LMJ into the outfield. That can happen, but that cannot happen at the same time. And then, two, he's listening at a Sunday ice storm in Southern Illinois.
Yikes.
Hell no.
Doesn't it get really hot in the summers, but then really cold in the winters over there in Illinois?
Well, I went to Chicago in early June last year, and it wasn't that cold. In the summertime, it felt good. A little chilly, like maybe in the 60s or 50s. You know how it's Texas people. As soon as it hits like that mark, where we're putting jackets over. Personally, me, I just don't like that. But getting back on track with this Astros run, they've strengthened the corners, and that was the biggest thing that the Astros needed to do this offseason was the biggest priority, keeping Alex Bregman. Well, Alex Bregman didn't, the negotiation stalled, according to Dana Brown, and the Astros had to pivot another way. Went out there and traded the five-tool player in Kyle Tucker, which, like I said, and I'm speaking for both of us, he's going to get paid next season, either with the Cubs or some other team. And they got a good deal out of it, getting Isaac Paredes, Hayden Wisniewski, and Cam Smith. Obviously, Cam Smith is the number one top-rated prospect in the Astros farm system right now. And then the Astros went ahead and signed first baseman Christian Walker. And I think saying offensively, them numbers are going to go through the roof. Home run alley over there in the Crawford boxes for both them players. Very pull happy. I'm looking at 80 plus RBIs for both players, honestly. And Dana Brown had mentioned they're going to be between 2 and 5. So you can plug in Paredes at 2. We kind of talked about the lineup projection, what you would want to do. But more than likely, it looked like Isak might be at 2, and then Christian Walker could be in the 4 or 5 spot. I think Yainer Diaz did really well in the cleanup role last year. So I would like him to be in the 4 and then put Walker in the 5. But we don't write the lineups. Mr. Joe Espada does. But 2 great offensive additions. Talking defensively, Walker, great defensive replacement. Angel hit it there too. Haven't had a great defensive first baseman since Yuli Gurriel in 2022. Saying nothing wrong about John Singleton. Jose Abreu really couldn't get it done offensively and defensively. That's why he got DFA'd. And the Astros replaced that first baseman with a guy that's won the Gold Glove 3 consecutive seasons. That's what the Astros really needed. Paredes, on the other hand, this is going to be an average third baseman. I will categorize him at the hot corner. He has the potential of becoming above average guy because of the coaching staff move that the Astros had gone with Tony Perez Chica. Christian Walker already had talked about. If you weren't for the last episode, he talked really highly about Perez Chica joining the Astros and him being a game changer in his career. So very excited to see what these two bring in into 2025 for the Astros.
Oh, hot take here. I think Paredes has the best, his best defensive year at third base, and that is because of who his third base coach is going to be and infield coach. I think if he's able to turn Keita Marte, Christian Walker to Gold Glovers, I think Paredes is on that boat too. I'm not gonna say he's going to win a Gold Glove, but I think like stats wise, he's going to have his best defensive season yet.
Reminder: Nick Ahmed, Paul Goldschmidt, Christian Walker have won Gold Gloves in the Diamondbacks with Perez Chica as the infielder instructor. Gabriel Moreno, Ketel Marte were finalists for the Gold Glove. So it's really cool for the Astros to get a guy like that who can strengthen their infield defense tremendously. Looking at Jeremy Pena this upcoming season. I think there's going to be some changes really good into his repertoire.
Do you think Jeremy Pena returns to?
Yes.
I'm not saying a Gold Glove, but Gold Glove finalist.
Yes, I do think he'll change back into that. I'll even throw another hot take since you want to put that one on. The Astros as a defensive infield. I think it's infield, if I'm not mistaken. If it's outfield as a team, then it is. But the Gold Glove Team Award, I think the Astros will finish in the top 3 as finalists in that Gold Glove ceremony from Rawlings next season.
Okay. Because there's been times where Altuve has had some like defensive spells too, so it'll be interesting to see how that changes.
Every great player wants to improve their game. You already know that. Kobe Bryant, we could talk about all the greats out there that would want that. But let's move on to the bullpen. We already talked about the rotation. We talked about the offense. We talked about the defense. Let's talk about the relievers in that bullpen. The Astros, for the good side of it, they still have their 3-headed monster with Brian Abreu, Ryan Presley, Josh Hader. This is year 2 for these guys in their same roles from last season. So do you expect a drastic change in a good way, or do you see it going downhill just like it kind of did last season in 23?
No, I will be surprised if that bullpen starts anywhere close to how they started in 2023. I'm sorry, in 2024. I think this is going to be the bullpen that's set on paper. That's going to be, if the Astros have a 1-2 run lead, and you could bring in Brian Abreu, Ryan Presley, and Josh Hader, I think they'll close it out. However, that all depends on how trustworthy the other bullpen relievers are. If Joe Espada doesn't have to bring in Ryan Abreu to close out the 5th inning or close out the 6th inning, so depending on how those guys produce in the bottom of the order, I think the three-headed monster will be great.
Yeah, I think they're going to be doing really well this season. A lot of milestones for these players last season in their career. I think Brian Brady pitched the most games he's ever done in his
Yeah.
career. Josh Hader finishing second or third in the American League in save category. Ryan Presley, not one of the best seasons in an Astros uniform. So a lot of changes could happen in a good way, or it can go in a bad way. But the other candidates for the bullpen, I think, in my opinion, and I'll listen to your opinion, who's safe and who will be the next ones to step up in there. The safe ones, I'd say, in the bullpen for the Astros right now would be Brian King, Caleb Bort, Taylor Scott. Candidates for the bullpen, I think there's either one or two spots that remain that can still be in there. Left-handed pitcher Bennett Souza, Ryan Gusto, Nick Hernandez, Colton Gordon, Forrest Whitley, Sean Dubin, Luis Contreras, and the Astros did sign Miguel Castro. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But what do you think?
I think you hit it right on the coffin there. I think it's for the most part, I agree with the safe picks. I think candidates for the bullpen. I think maybe you're looking at Sean Dubin just because of the experience wise, and Bennett Sousa looked good in that limited time he was with the Astros. So I think those are two guys that I would put ahead of everybody else.
I wanted to put Bennett Sousa in the safe category, but he is coming from injury. He didn't pitch really at all last season. So we're putting him for the candidates. You saw the potential, like Angel said, in 23, what he brought to the table. So if everything goes well in spring training, this is a guy that could be there. Another guy that I expect to take a big role this season, either starting in AAA or starting on opening day roster, is going to be Colton Gordon. Out of options now. This is a guy that the Astros stuck with at the Rule 5. I think it was before the Rule 5 where they couldn't release and all that. But Colton Gordon, I think, is going to take a big role this season. Left-handed specialist, had good numbers with the Sugarland Space Cowboys. It's a lot of left-handed pitcher heavy if you really think about it too. Brian King, Bennett Sousa, Colton Gordon. If we want to throw righty in there, Angel did say Sean Dubin. Ryan Gusto is going to be an interesting one too, another AAA guy. Forrest Whitley, I think a lot of Astro fans either gave up on him or still hoping that he could still produce as the first rounder that he was back in 20-something draft. I think it was 2016, 2017, something like that during the Jeff Luhnow era. But other than that, that's what it looks like for 2025. 2026, if you think about it, the Astros will have a little bit more money room to kind of spend in the offseason. I would say about $60 million or so around that area. Jose Abreu's contract is going to be up. Rafael Montero's contract is going to be up. Ryan Presley's contract is going to be up, as well as Victor Caratini. So a lot of money will be out there for the Astros to spend in 2026. So 2025, I mean, we're moving too ahead, but 2025, the Astros run, I just don't think it's not over yet. They still have the potential to hang in there in the AL West, have the potential to make the postseason. You can never count Houston out of making either or for that mark.
What do you think? So just to stir up some, some debate, I guess. Get the mind thinking a little bit. How shocked would you be from one being not shocked at all to 10 being super shocked? How shocked would you be if the Astros, knowing that they have about 60 million worth of money to spend, re-sign Kyle Tucker or sign Kyle Tucker?
One.
They give him 7 or 10, 8-year, 5-something million
Nope.
contract.
One.
Just
like my pen. One.
You know what?
I don't think there's a chance. There's just no chance.
I'm gonna say 3. It's a possibility. I think the Yankees did it when they sent Aroldis Chapman to Chicago. They sent him for 1 year, got the prospects they wanted, and then re-signed him again. Now, I think the Astros really like Kyle Tucker. It's just the years part, but I think, especially if the Astros don't win the World Series this year, or even if the Astros don't make the playoffs, I think Jim Crane will kind of, look at themselves, hey, my recipe's not working anymore. And, thing about a businessman is you got to adapt to what the market is. And I think Kyle Tucker's gonna be the guy that could possibly, if they were gonna change Jim Craig's mind, I think Kyle Tucker's the guy to do that.
I want what you're smoking right now, dude. I want what you're smoking right now. I just don't see it. I don't. That's my number right there. One.
Okay.
There's just no shot. I mean, he's gonna get whatever he wants. Juan Soto just set up what's gonna be for the outfielder market. Kyle Tucker is a better outfielder defensively than Juan Soto, I will say. A well-complete, 5-tool player, better than Juan Soto as well. So that's why I think he can get 400. I say 400 easily. I'm thinking he's knocking at the door at 500 plus. So Kyle Tucker is never going to come back in the Houston Astros uniform. The Astros' highest contract would have been Alex Bregman signing for 156 if he would have accepted it. I wonder what he's really thinking about that now since then, but it's already passed by. 26 AAV would have been for Bregman in the Astros uniform if he took that deal. But as of right now, the Astros' largest contract is a 151. What makes you think Jim Crane is going to adjust to going from 151 to 400 or $500 million?
They got money to spend now.
If they had money to spend, they would have already had signed Alex Bregman or given an extension to Kyle Tucker already in this offseason.
But there's contracts they still got to pay.
I just don't see it. Even with $60 million, if that was the number, if that was the exact number, because I'm just calculating from Abreu, Monteros, and the rest of the guys that are going to be coming free agents, I just don't even think even that much money would even try to get Kyle Tucker. If I'm Houston, if I'm the Astros front office, I'm using that money for something else to make the team better. You're going to have Framber Valdez hit the market pretty soon. And it just depends, too, at the trade deadline where the Astros are at. Or if they're still in contention, there could be a possibility that he stays. More than likely, he'll probably stay. But if they're not in contention, this is a guy that could be traded to a contending team if Houston is out of it.
Well, we'll see how everything unravels. We'll see. It'll be
let us know in the comments, please, because I do not want to be the only one thinking that the Astros have a chance of signing Kyle Tucker. Like Angel said, giving it a 3. If I had a -1, I would choose a -1 on this.
That wasn't an option there. That wasn't an option. But like Lorenzo had hinted on earlier, the Astros signed Miguel Castro. That was per John Heyman there, and per Alexander Castro's contract will be a minor league deal, an invitation to spring training. Castro would make $1.5 million in Major League Baseball with performance bonuses on top of that if he makes, the Major League roster. To me, and we kind of hinted on this in a few podcasts, is that the Astros might sign some low-level relief guy that no one really, not going to be the top attractive one, but someone that's going to get the job done. I think this signing could potentially have a Taylor Scott from last year signing where everybody's like saying, who's this guy? And, and then everybody, starts to know his name a little bit later. Now, I like this move just because I'm going to read you some stats. Miguel Castro stats in 2024, 11 games, 13.2 innings pitched, 5.93 ERA, 339 opposing batting average, 20 hits, 9 runs, 8 strikeouts. He had right shoulder inflammation early in 2024. DFA and released by Arizona the last 2 days of July. And now Miguel Castro is in the Astros uniform. I think pitching in Arizona is tough. That ball tends to travel. And honestly, pitching in Minute Maid Park is tough too, in its own regard. So Daikin Park now, sorry. But I think the fact that the Astros gave Miguel Castro a chance is that they see something that could potentially get them a reliever that they want. And this is a guy with major league experience. This is a guy that, has a track record. Obviously, didn't have a great 2024 season, but I think this is a guy that could potentially be a sleeper pick, just like Taylor Scott, and help them and help Brian Abreu, Brian Presley, Josh Hader not have to come earlier in games that they need to.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that's a low risk, high reward signing for Houston. Just turned 30. He is a Christmas Eve baby, if you did not know that, December 24. So he just turned 30 recently. The only thing I would say for him, he has good upside. The sinker velocity is really, really good. 96 to 98 miles per hour, 3-pitch arsenal, slider, sinker, changeup. The only thing is his mechanical problems, and I think the Astros have done a really good job helping pitchers find their groove when it comes to either mechanics, pitch usage, all that type of stuff, just because of Josh Miller, what he has done. Yusei Kikuchi is another guy that you could put up there. Started to throw the change up a little bit more and had a lot of success in Houston. And look where he's at. He's back in the AL West with a different team. But I would think the only thing with him is it's just going to be the mechanics, I would say. More than likely, is going to be his release point, where he's releasing the ball. He is a sidearm pitcher. Really good movement off his sinker and his changeup. If you really think about it, his sinker and changeup almost have the same type of movement. Obviously, sinker is just going to be a little bit more faster and quicker than the changeup. And then when you add that slider mix as well, it will look good. But if he's healthy, I think he has a good shot of being in the bullpen, being a key addition to this Astros club. Like you said, this is a guy that could be another Taylor Scott from last season with Dana Brown. And Dana Brown has done a really good job with them little low signings, high reward kind of things. Ben Gamble, Jason Hayward, Taylor Scott. I mean, he's done a really good job, and he's looking like he's going to continue to keep that pattern going, that same ingredient for 2025.
Yeah, he relies heavily on that slider. I think the opposing batting average for the slider was 176. Where he got hurt a lot was that sinker, leaving it right out over the plate. Again, could be the mechanical issue that the Astros thinks they can fix. If he can locate that sinker, slider combination could be pretty great for the Astros. And then, according to Hector Gomez, Astros have shown interest in Anthony Santander. That's one guy that Lorenzo has been big on this offseason and can make the Astros better. However, Blue Jays appear to be the front runner, I think. And according to Hector Gomez as well, the Blue Jays have offered Santander 4 years, $82 million. He has, again, nothing's been official yet. But do you think 4 years, $82 million? Do you think that's something the Astros can counter, or you think Santander's a Blue Jay?
Let's see. Let's do the math real quick. 82 divided by 4, you're looking at 20.5 as an AAV. I don't know if the Astros still have that money to do that. I don't think it'll happen. Like we had mentioned before, and we've preached about it on almost every episode, if I'm not kidding. Santander would make this team go into an offseason grade of an A+. No doubt about it. But more than likely, I just don't think the Astros are going to be able to get him. If they do, cool if they do. But if they don't, you're probably looking at guys that could be the Verdugos. The Profars kind of had slowed down a little. The Winkers out there. You're looking at guys that are probably going to be looking at 1 to 2 year kind of deals, if anything. So Santander is looking for a 4 to 5 year deal. I wouldn't be shocked if the Astros look at a 1 to 2 year deal with some of those players I had announced.
Yeah, it just seems hard where the Astros are at, especially having a lot of dead money. They need to pay for players that are no longer with the team, or just crazy contracts that they signed earlier. So it'll be interesting. Again, I am. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think the market is slowing down though? Because we haven't seen any big moves happening. Corbin Burns barely signed a $2-something million contract with the Arizona Diamondbacks. What do we think?
I think so. Especially, I would say, going back to Alex Bregman, I don't think he signed. Like, he gets the $200 million he's looking for. I think it would shock me, but it wouldn't surprise me if Bregman signs a 1 year deal and then tries to hit up free agency like the next year, kind of like a Blake Snell did or Matt Chapman did a year before. But I just think these players are overselling a little bit themselves, and the teams are kind of catching on to their bluff a little bit. Kind of like you raise to see if the other guys have a higher card, but I think they're catching on a little bit to that bluff of his a little bit.
Another follow-up to add on to that: does this help the Houston Astros if the market is slowing down? Like I said, you could get a guy like an Alex Verdugo for a 2 year deal. You could get a guy like if Santander wants to do that prove it kind of deal with a 1 year, that can help the Astros as well. Just like the Dodgers did with Teoscar Hernandez last year, getting that 1 year deal for him. What do you think about that? Is this really benefiting the Astros if the market is slowing down, like those guys still in the free agency?
I think it helps them with guys more like Verdugo, not Santander, because at the end of the day, even if it's a 1 year deal, I think Santander gets above 20 million ABV. Even if it's a 1 year deal or not, or a multi-year deal. But the guys like Verdugo, where you're kind of they're kind of like in the middle of being
Mhm.
a top prospect and not being the top prospect that's left. So I think those guys there could be more of a prove deal. So like signing Verdugo maybe 1 year, 15 million. Obviously Verdugo thinks he's worth more than that, but he can use this year with the Astros. He's still young to do it too. I think guys like Santander they're already in their 30s, so it's kind of hard to do those 1 year prove deals. But a young guy like Verdugo, I think that's a possibility.
However, does it help the team specifically the
Yes,
Astros?
yes,
That's what I was trying to say.
yes.
Like
Sorry,
if
yes.
you want, if the Astros wanted to go get Profar, for instance, this guy could be looking at 3 years, but looking at the money and looking how it's fluctuating kind of right now in the market, it's kind of like it could be a hit
Yeah.
or miss with him.
No, yeah. It does help him, but again, like we're saying, like with the younger players, not like with the top prospects.
Gotcha.
And then moving on to around the horn, are we good to go?
I think we're good to go. Yeah, that was pretty
Perfect.
much it.
Former Astros minor leaguer and former Seattle Mariner joins the White Sox. He played third base, majority third base with the Mariners. Uh, it has yet to be revealed what type of money he'll be getting, but do you think losing their third baseman, because after that, who do the Mariners have to play third base?
I mean, they still got a good, strong farm system. I don't know who's their next top infielder is, but I mean, it's not the end of the world for them. If I'm not mistaken, Luis Urias is still on their roster. I don't have the roster right in front of me, but losing Josh Rojas, I don't think it hurts them. But really cool guy to talk to, I will say.
Do you think that kind of opens the door for maybe kind of sneaking in last minute and getting Alex Bregman?
It just depends if they're going to want to spin. I think that's the Mariners' offseason answer. Are they going to spin? If they're going to spin, they could go out there and get Alex Bregman right now. But
Yeah.
if they're not going to spin, which they had a deal in place with the Red Sox for Tristan Casas, and they would have to just trade away Luis Castillo, and they didn't do it. So
Here's the Mariners infielders for active on the roster right now. Ryan Bliss, J.P. Crawford, Tyler Locklear, Dylan Moore, Leo Rivas, Austin Shenton, and Samad Taylor.
I don't know none of them.
Besides J.P. Crawford and Dylan Moore, you're kind of scratching your head of who are the other guys, right?
Pretty much.
So
Dylan Moore,
you
you could put at third base though.
can, but you could also put him in the middle infield too, and
He's a utility guy that won the Gold Glove. So.
Yeah. So interesting to see what that move, if that move has anything for the Mariners there. D-backs, I think the biggest free pitching free agent, Corbin Burns, secured. D-backs secured Corbin Burns. They're paying him 210 million for 6 years. He chose Arizona over Toronto because of the kind of, I guess, income state tax that they have on their paycheck. I think it's a little less than Arizona, so Arizona got the better deal than that.
I think he's from Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
He might have just said that to be home, honestly, too.
I mean, who wouldn't want to play with their hometown team?
Yeah. So I think that's a good pickup, especially with how fierce that Dodgers lineup is and the Padres lineup. I think it's going to be the division between the Padres and the Dodgers this year, too.
Oh, he's from California, Bakersfield, California. So
There you go.
not
Closer to
from
home.
Arizona. It is
Closer
closer to home. Closer from Milwaukee and Baltimore. I'll say that for damn sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think one of the biggest international signings to be Roki Sasaki. Right now, he's linked to the Texas Rangers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the San Diego Padres. Which team do you think is he likely to end up with?
That man, I'd be shocked if he goes to the Rangers, but I wouldn't be surprised. But the two teams I'm really linking him to, the Dodgers and the Padres. Dodgers, you got Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You just saw what they did. They just won the World Series. Who wouldn't want to go over there after winning the World Series? And then the Padres, they have something cooking over there in San Diego. They're still a great team. And you have Darvish over there as your countryman. But putting a rotation just like that with Joe Musgrove, Darvish, Dylan Cease, and Roki Sasaki.
Yeah,
that's pretty sick. That NL West is going to be very competitive.
Yeah, too. I mean, both teams are still really great. We can even throw Giants in there like to compete too. So that'll be a good AOS team. And then the Tigers and the Blue Jays are on Alex Bregman as well. They're still trying to crunch up numbers there and see what works best for them. But uh, at this rate, I think Alex Bregman, like we said earlier, is not going to be an Astro unless he signs a veteran deal later in his career with Houston. But I think that's the last of Alex Bregman in a Astros uniform. I, s- I I think the Tigers make the best fit for Alex Bregman.
Oh, I think it's a great fit. It's a great fit. I think they're shopping Spencer Torkelson, if I'm not mistaken. Cole Keith, I think they're going to move him to first base,
First
one of
base, yeah.
their top rated prospects. Putting Alex Bregman in the corner with a young core that just literally defeated his team last season in that wild card. Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. I already know AJ Hinch, clubhouse leader, one of the veterans that's won World Series rings and all that type of stuff. Great addition if the Tigers do get him. And it just makes perfect sense. Really,
Absolutely.
like 99%, I believe that he's going to be a Detroit Tiger.
I think so too. It's again just makes sense.
Just does.
Is that it? Under an hour?
That is it. That is it. Just like a cold beer on the weekend. Makes perfect sense for everybody, if I'm not mistaken. If you don't drink beer, then your beverage
Your
of your
wine.
choice.
Yeah, your wine.
Seltzers if you want to do too, if you want. But yeah, that is the end of our show. Continue to follow us at Full Steam Ahead on our social media platforms from Twitter, FSA Full Steam Ahead on Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're on Twitter. Go to YouTube. We're 3 subscribers away from hitting that 200 mark. We'd love to accomplish that. And Angel already said Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. Make sure you do follow and download the latest episode. Cantu, you got anything before we sign off on the first episode of 2025?
Now we wish everybody a great 2025 year. Hopefully bless things to everybody out of our listeners. Just continue to listen, spread the word, share some love with Full Steam Ahead, and peace.
A lot of things coming soon. A lot of things coming soon. Make sure y'all stick around for it because you don't want to miss it. Lastly, Tucker's gone for good, Angel. You seen? There's your answer. Not the only one. Until then, y'all have a safe and blessed weekend. We'll talk to y'all soon. We'll get back on our track of going to Mondays and Tuesday episodes since the holidays are officially over. We'll let y'all know. Of course, just look at our tweet where we posted. Till then, stay safe, stay warm, especially if you're in Houston or in Texas or really a part of the world, just like Astroworth Crate said in Illinois. And we'll talk to y'all soon.